And welcome back, everyone, to Who Will Win, pre-recorded on Sunday for Monday, as my week of What If is going to make things very busy. This one comes to us from Gary Hastings and Kakarot Bardock-san. And we've pitted Naruto and Ichigo against each other. I believe I also pitted Ichigo and someone else before. But now we have Ichigo versus Inuyasha from Inuyasha. Now, I know I'm not as big on Inuyasha. I know a lot of people love it. I have a friend who's one I'm housing for she loves it. Loved Inuyasha. But, that said, how strong was he actually? Well, very strong as it turns out. But is he strong enough to be Ichigo, or is Ichigo always going to be the GOAT? That's not true. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just adjusting here. No, Ichigo's not actually the GOAT. Oh, I love Ichigo. Anyway, but let's talk about Ichigo first. Ichigo. Obviously, we know his story. Let's really talk about his, physicality, what he brings to it. As a pure hybrid, at the height of the series, he was a hybrid with his abilities coming mostly now from his Shinigami powers and his Hollow powers, which were basically tied together. As Ewok stole his Quincy blood from him. So, I mean, as a Shinigami form, he's highly durable, very strong. I mean, he's not... all Shinigami are not created equally. We know that for a fact. We see Kenpachi and Sajin are like the physical powerhouses. Other Shinigami are faster than others. So Ichigo's physicality is perfectly adequate, 100%. He can take hits without too much difficulty, although he can still take damage, as seen with when he fights Ewok. But again, Ewok is basically like de facto god at that point. He's also susceptible to being, hit by other energy attacks. And he can, depending on how strong he is, he can take those attacks, like when he took on Aizen's, omnidirectional attack. He ended up messing his arm up pretty bad, but he didn't even flinch from it. And that was back in the weaker days of, Ichigo. Ichigo, though, is speed. He's probably among the fastest characters in the series, maybe? We know he got to this, he took a trip that would normally take a week, oh God, how long did it take? I don't remember how long it actually took. I know it was like much quicker beforehand than what it actually would have normally taken, but that's just like traveling speed. Reaction speed, pretty much all the Shinigami, especially when you get to the 1,000-year Blood War arc, are multiple times the speed of light. Like, if you want to go watch someone, I mean, I do think he's somewhat biased on a few things, but I do like Bleach Hub's videos a lot. And he, does the scaling for, Shunsui in terms of why he was moving so many times faster than the speed of light. And Ichigo definitely is comparable in some level to Shunsui. His spiritual pressure is on near the top level of the group as well. He rivals individuals like arguably an Aizen post-Hogyoku, like a Kenpachi, like a Yamamoto. His potential for growth is immense. His spiritual pressure is second to none almost. And his combat skills too. He is a very skilled hand-to-hand fighter when the need comes to it. He's also quite a skilled swordsman. Because his Zangetsu is more or less a melee type with a... Zangetsu falls into a weird category of Zanpakuto. We'll talk more about this when we talk more about Zanpakuto in the Zanpakuto creation series, when I start that up in August. But Zanpakuto are generally fall into have their own categories, but there's generally some basic categories: elemental, Kido, melee types, and they are what they sound. They're used for that primary form of combat. Zangetsu is a very unique sword because it's a combat blade. It's a melee combat blade, but it does have an actual ability. So it's hard to say where it actually qualifies in terms of, the spectrum of Zanpakuto. Needless to say, Zangetsu, which takes the form of two blades, at least by the end of the 1,000-year Blood War, we don't know what it looks like post that, to be fair. Because Ichigo does not show up in the 1,000-year Blood War, in the Camp for Your Own World novel. He doesn't show up. He's mentioned multiple times, but he doesn't show up. So we don't know what Zangetsu actually looks like. It's theorized that Zangetsu's actual blade, because the Shinigami powers were taken away from him, or Quincy powers were taken away from him, he only has the Shinigami powers at that point, which means the blade they actually killed Yuwabak with, although it looked like the Zangetsu Bankai he had, was actually just his original Shikai. And therefore, Zangetsu. By that logic, his Bankai should be his original Tensa Zangetsu, the black katana he had. In theory. I'm really going off base there. But still, going by what we had near the end of the series, he's able to use like a quicker but weaker Getsuga with the smaller blade, a larger but slower Getsuga with the bigger blade, and then Getsuga Jiso, where he basically combines the two into this cross-like blade, cross-like attack. And then obviously you have his Bankai, which is Tensa Zangetsu, which basically fuses the two together. Now, initially, what Tensa Zangetsu did in the Bankai or Zanpakuto we had originally was that it was basically compressing his power down, so it increased all of his physical aspects 5 to 10 times, and he could fight at hypersonic speeds. You know, he was more durable, all that. But we don't really know if that's what happens with Tensa Zangetsu in this form. Most likely, yes, it's something general to that, but it's also something that it's probably has an extra ability added on there. It was strong enough that Yuhawk himself, Yuhawk, feared enough that's like, the guy got to destroy that Bankai. Can't let you get away with that, Ichigo. And it was enough that it could cut down Soul King Yuhawk. That's how powerful it was. Add on to the fact that Ichigo also has this hybridized form where he basically turns into the Shinigami Hollow hybrid, and he can use a combination of Getsuga and Sero to create the Grand Warrior Getsuga Sero, which surprised Yuhawk. It was something where, yeah, he was extreme. Ichigo is very powerful, definitely on like, you know, a different tier level than most other characters. Like, that's why the whole Naruto versus Ichigo thing doesn't add up. Like, people think Naruto wins. Like, yeah, Naruto could blow up a planet. Ichigo is fighting guys who can literally destroy down to the molecule and reshape existence in that verse. Naruto can't do that crap. Ichigo isn't that powerful, but he's fighting guys who can do that. So Ichigo's definitely like somehow is like on a higher tier of power. It's just what type of tier he is. It's very, very difficult to say. It's likely that he is somewhere in like kind of like a multi-dimensional area, which doesn't necessarily mean universal, but it kind of is in its own tier kind of thing. But Inuyasha, also known as he also has a different name, Inuyasha, also known as, hold on, aliases. Is Inuyasha his only name? I could have swore he had a different name besides Inuyasha. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, Inuyasha is, anyway, Inuyasha is a half-demon, half-human hybrid. Born from a demon known as Toga, who is a powerful demon of the West. He just goes, he does his thing, but he's also the main protagonist, so he goes to fight the bad guys. Basically, there's what are they called? The Shikon Jewel empowered opponent. Jewel was scattered in shards, and they empower demons and make them stronger, so he goes off and beats them, and obviously there's the main bad guy. Again, I don't know Inuyasha very well. What I do have here is his full power set. He has extremely powerful demonic energy that he can use to dispatch lower tier demonic foes without any difficulty whatsoever, even strengthened by the Shikon Jewel, such as Mr. Centipede, in the early years where he was at his weakest. His strength grew. He was able to master powerful techniques such as the Bakurai, Konogoshi, and Medo Zangetsuha. He's even able to defeat powerful yokai, such as Ryu Kotsetsu, whom not even his father could defeat. Arguably, that means he surpassed his father. And Panther King. This is all his demonic power cover, basically demonic energy. He has superhuman strength, able to punch through walls, rock, wood, and even punch through solid steel. In fact, his powerful demon blood inherited from his father gave him greater strength than most lower tier demons. Only powerful yokai like Shishomaru were ever able to overpower him in terms of raw physical power. Superhuman speed. He can run and move at speeds easily exceeding that of the conventional horse. He is considered slower than Entei, the yokai horse that served as Hakudoshi's steed. While not capable of true flight, he has inherited a lesser version of his father's more rudimentary powers. Inuyasha could manipulate his own yokai to extend when he jumped and allowing himself to glide over long distances. He has superhuman agility, can easily dodge bullets, arrows, enhanced reflexes, enhanced stamina, and durability. He can take a great deal of physical pain at once, and demonstrated by his early battles with Shishomaru, where he continued fighting even after being impaled in the stomach. He's also capable of surviving considerable blunt force trauma. A direct blow from a solid wooden log that broke on contact, falling several stories into a crevice of a fight, and being thrown hard enough to shatter a rock, and yet he was fine. His skin was thick enough for him to survive being tangled by Yura's wire hair strands, where they were capable of cutting through solid tree trunks. He also has accelerated healing. He was able to regrow a fang in basically half a day. He is able to survive even the most grievous injuries like impalement, although it's implied he can't do things like grow back limbs. So his regeneration has limits. Enhanced senses, which can be overwhelmed, that is a weakness that's been noted from him. He's got enhanced sense of smell, claws. He has blood solidification. Using his demonic power, he can harden his own blood and throw them like bladed projectiles in an attack that refers to as Hinji Keso, or flying blade blood. While he typically uses blood from an already open wound, he could draw the necessary blood to use the attack by digging the nails to his palms. And he would often use the attack as a surprise counter after being wounded by his opponent, who, after his opponents assumed he was weakened. His longevity, limited time travel, but not something he can just use in a fight. Transformation, he's susceptible to being corrupted by an impure sacred jewel, turning into a savage demon. His first demon, his friends were trapped in the stone ogre's belly. Really, he's just going to turn into a more savage version of himself, not an actual monster. Flight, he uses the power of flight in the sky all the way to the palace of his stepmother to meet the Shishomaru to stop the grim comet. He's an expert combatant, being born as a Hanyo in a great time of strife between humans and demons. He was very experienced in honor combat, although his technical skills displayed by Shomaru, he relies more on brute force than any type of martial art. Adept swordsman, though, minor medical knowledge, but nothing serious. The robe of the fire wrap that he wears, it serves as a fireproof armor and has the ability to regenerate itself. His Tessaiga, which is his main weapon, is what he uses to fire his signature techniques like the backlash, wind scar, which is basically a grinding blade of wind he fires. Kind of like a Getsuka Tensho, basically. Backlash wave, a bigger version of that. Adamant barrier, I'm not sure what that one does. Hold on one second, I'm checking that right now. Also known as Kong O Shoha. Special attack that launches shards of diamond. The technique original. Okay, so basically, yeah, it launches diamond shards is what it does. And then his trump card attack is the Medo Zangetsuha. So is an immensely strong offensive technique that creates a path that sends anyone who is hit with it directly to the netherworld itself, killing them without actually harming them. The technique originally belonged to the yokai Shinki. Toga battled Shinki and defeated him with the Tessaiga and used it to seal the technique. Because the technique's dark nature is cast off. Tessaiga and Tetsenga was created. The Tessaiga and the Tetsenga were created to contain it. The other meadow, called the Meadow Stone, as Toga gave it to Shomaru's mother. Meadow was originally within Shigi River Black Spear. Virgin started out as a crescent shape, eventually gained elliptical form as Shomaru gained strength and experience. However, it was incapable of recreating the meadow in its original form. The technique would undergo one final transformation to better reflect Inuyasha's ownership of it, as well as Tetsaiga's nature as a sword that cuts. Shigetsu's spear was replaced by a barrage of blades that ripped apart whatever they hit and sucked up the remains, making it more effective against larger, more powerful opponents. In this new form, but only with the help of Shishomaru's Bakusaiga, the Meadow finally destroyed Nakaru's body. So this is a very interesting technique, and basically, if it hits you, you get sent to the nether realm, and you're kind of screwed. I mean, granted, I think there's probably some stipulations to that depending on the circumstances, but we'll see. His weaknesses, though, is demonic blood. It can overtake him. New moons basically turn him into a pure human for a night. Sensory overload is another big issue, particularly smells. It's so acute, you can be vulnerable to sensory overload. And spiritual powers. Inuyasha is susceptible to the effects of spiritual power, seeing as Kiriko and Kagome were able to subdue him with various spells. This is inclusive of mystical objects such as sacred arrows, sacred sucha, and the beads of subjugation. The powerful purifying barrier surrounding Mount Iriko was able to forcibly transform him into human form. The barrier did because he noticed he was discomfortable and weakened in his demonic forms or abilities. Should also note that the sheath of Tetsaiga is capable of, deflecting energy attacks, but only to a certain degree. So, these two meet in a fight. How's it going to go? Well, let's say Ichigo is just kind of doing his thing. He's on a mission, maybe dealing with some hollows. Hollows could be perceived as demons in this world. And maybe he actually gets into a fight with an actual demon, a little confused, but easily takes it down. Inuyasha sees this and views Ichigo as like, oh, okay, who are you exactly? I'm Ichigo Kurosawa, substitute Soul Reaper. Who exactly are you? I'm Inuyasha. I'm the big dog around here. Exactly. Who do you think you are? Just coming in here and taking out demons all willy-nilly. That's my job. It's like, what? Okay, look, I don't really want any trouble. Well, you got trouble, buddy. And let's be fair, Inuyasha would probably be the instigator in this fight. He would. He's brash enough, and he's he's not like he's an idiot, but he's definitely the hothead that would be the one to charge in. And, he comes in and pulls out his sword, which immediately, turns into the giant Tetsaiga. And, Ichigo's just like, well, it's like, does he have a Zanpakuto? And, he just blocks with Zangetsu, and their fight begins. Now, even though he can wield Tetsaiga pretty well, Ichigo, I think, is still the better swordsman. He's wielding an actual reasonably sized sword, so he's got better practice with that. And he's still got better practice, he's still got practice wielding a large cleaver as well. But Ichigo's style is that of swordsmanship. That's exactly what it is. Yes, he's got other abilities that, complement it, but it's swords. That's what he does. So, he's coming in, he blocks, and he brings out other Zangetsu and just gets a good Tensho! Uses a small Getsuga, cuts Inuyasha, just, okay, that's not, what the hell? You have another one on you? What was that attack? I was like, that would be Getsuga Tensho. This is Zangetsu. That's a Zangetsu's ability. It's like, I don't know what your Zanpakuto can do, but it's not anything. I doubt it's anything I can't handle. It's like, Zanpakuto. What the hell are you talking about? You talking about Tetsaigai? Tetsengai? It's like, is that the name of your Zanpakuto? Huh, interesting name. It's like, I see how it is. And he's just holding it. And he's keeping his blood in check because he can, use it later. And it's like, well, let's see how you like this. Wind Scar! And then he fires the Wind Scar. He's like, he's like, that's a good Tensho! And they clash. And spiritual power to demonic power, Ichigo's got the edge there. He's just got the edge there. I mean, they're clashing and just, Inuyasha can see it being flown back. It's like, and backlash wave! And he just, throws it back at Ichigo. And Ichigo's like, he has to get out of the way. Just, whoa, crap. It's like, all of a sudden, Inuyasha is throwing blood daggers. I was like, what the hell is it? Is this blood? It's like, that, and Inuyasha appears behind him. It's like, that's right. And he just brings down the attack. And, Adamant Barrier comes out. He fires the diamonds at Ichigo. Ichigo's blocking. He does able to gut check Ichigo and just throw him down. It's like, and he finally just brings down the final, like, Wind Scar. Boom! Comes down, hits Ichigo. I was like, well, that was fun. All of a sudden, though, the spiritual pressure just, boom, and he's just, what the hell is this? This energy, this spirit energy. Because they have spirit energy in Inuyasha, so they're probably using something very similar. Although not demonic versus hollow. It's probably a little bit different. Because they still refer to hollow energy as spiritual energy, not demonic or hollow energy. And then Ichigo's just, Bankai, Tensa Zangetsu. Alright, let's try this again, shall we? It's like, my name's Ichigo Kurosaki. I'm Inuyasha. Good. Can we stop this before it gets out of hand? Right. And he comes in. Wind Scar! And Ichigo just, what? Boom! Kind of like the Kenpachi against the Otara, just boom, boom. At this point now, Ichigo's just, Ichigo probably could have handled the Wind Scar himself, but he was surprised, so he reacted with it gets a Tensho. Now it's just like, yeah, no. It's like, adamantine! Barrier! And then he's firing the dimes. Ichigo's just blocking this behind him, just boom, smacks him. Inuyasha goes flying. All right, this isn't good. It's like, give it up. You can't beat me. He's like, I'll show you. And he just keeps pounding on Inuyasha. It's like, this is really getting irritating. And he's like, just enough of this. Come on. It's like, all right. And then he finally, Inuyasha's like, Meadow Zangetsu Sho. Or Zangetsu Sha. It's like, what? And he fires at Ichigo. And Ichigo needs to get out of the way. And he can tell. There's something off about this technique. I need to get out of the way. So he immediately just gets right in front of Inuyasha, disarms him, and just boom, kicks him, just straight in the gut. And Inuyasha now, it's like he no longer has his sword, so he's starting to go demonic. He's like, you serious about this? He's like, ugh. And all of a sudden he just kind of fires like blood daggers all at Ichigo. Just, seriously, what the heck is up with you? It's like, ugh. He grabs the second, it's wind scar. Ichigo just grabs the blade, like, this is over, and just snaps it. Like, Ichigo snaps the blade, just like, no way. And then just, boom. It's like, all right, that's enough of that. And then just drops it. Now, and that's the game. Now, why is Ichigo, I think, the winner in this fight? I think it really comes down from, it's really just sheer power. There has been, as little I remember of Inuyasha from the description I have here, there's nothing on the level of Bleach tier characters that we have in Inuyasha. There's some characters that have abilities that could threaten Bleach characters. Sorry, there's Inuyasha characters that have abilities that can threaten Bleach characters, like the just black hole that exists within, I think it's Naraka's hand. Like that could legitimately threaten a Bleach character. Absolutely, I'm not arguing that at all. But if you're talking about like in a straight fight, power output to power output, there's no contest. Ichigo is pretty much bests him in all that in every field. He's faster. He survives more durable attacks. He's got far more spiritual power, which is a weakness in Inuyasha, just being overpowered like that. His sheath isn't going to be able to take even a weak Getsu Tensho from Ichigo, to be frank. And even if it could take the weaker ones, it's not going to take the average ones. Ichigo is at least comparable in swordsmanship to him. And he's just got, he's had, frankly, more combat experience in terms of formal combat. Now, that being said, Inuyasha was fighting the whole series. He's older than Ichigo. He's probably been fighting longer, but he has no formal style, whereas Ichigo does actually has been legitimately trained in martial arts his young years. So, Ichigo wins through sheer swordsman, sheer skill, power, and just overall, fighting people. He's had experience fighting individuals like Inuyasha, to be frank. He's fought Shinigami before. He's fought Arrancar. He's fought Quincy. Inuyasha is nothing new to him. And to be fair, Ichigo wouldn't be necessarily something brand spanking new to Inuyasha, but Inuyasha isn't prepared to fight someone on that level of power, unfortunately. Because he still can get his ass whipped by Shishomaru. And Shishomaru, I argue, probably couldn't take on Ichigo either. I don't personally think like the Inuyasha tier or the Inuyasha characters are on the same tier level as the Bleach characters, unfortunately. Overall. Again, some abilities aside, that's just my opinion, though. I know I'm going to get Inuyasha fans at me, and people are like, yeah, Ichigo, but whatever. But that's my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it, because I am not going to apologize for this, just having an opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed. What did you think? Did you agree or disagree? Let me know. Till then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll be back on Tuesday with Green Lantern or Lantern Corps video and What If. So thanks for watching. I'll see you later.